I think it begins with the natural conditions. So ecology, weather, topography, soil, natural boundaries. However, culture is bigger than all of those things. And it's because culture evolved within the context of ecology and weather and so on. And so a culture would be traditions and sensibilities and biases. It would be politics and religion and livelihood. So those things that you're not supposed to talk about at a dinner party that we hold most sacred are the things that define us as a group.
Maybe it's defined by the geography, like mountain or river.
I think a region can be defined in many ways. I think like most commonly people define them geographically, like if the landscape is similar or if there's like similar agriculture in that area. But I think a region could also be defined by the people who live in it, like the foods people eat or people's religions. Language spoken can define regions, so yeah.
I would say in the context of a country, a region is a subset of states or provinces, and in the context of the world, a region is a subset of countries.
I would define a region as something incredibly non-specific, something that exists primarily in the cultural frame of reference of the people who live in a specific area. For instance, people will say they have Midwestern values or they enjoy Midwestern cooking, but geographically speaking, they might not live in the Midwest, strictly speaking, in the United States. Also, I would say regions are something that are not static. They can move. And as people's values change and their cultural frames of reference change, those regions can move also.
A region is an area that is distinguished by various influences or similar influences. Influences could be geographical, it could be political, cultural, and so forth.
I define a region as a place, geographical place that has the same basic characteristics. So some regions might be smaller, some regions might be larger, but it's basically all because the geography of it is pretty much the same. Now you can also have that too, I think, with cities and people as well, but I typically like to think of it, since we do the weather, for more like geographical based things.
So one way to look at a region is that there's administrative definitions, right? Administrative definitions are really used by us to help to divide spaces so that we can govern them effectively and easily. But other people might choose to define regions based upon things like culture or common practices or shared sense of identity. And so that can also form a really functional way to look at things. And yet another third way to define it would simply be based upon proximity or geography in relationship to whatever one would consider to be an important feature, whether that's a dense population or could be something else completely different. The real challenge in sort of laying out one definition of a region is that that usually we define regions for multiple purposes, right? Or usually we're thinking about it in relationship to a specific question or a specific concept or idea. If we're looking administratively, we're in the Champaign-Urbana Metropolitan Statistical Area. Right, so that covers 3 counties, including Champaign County, Ford, and Piatt County area. I'd also say that we're in something that people call Central Illinois, and some people would say that's everything but Chicago, right? So it's not Chicago. Some people would say it's sort of it really is a centrally located counties in Illinois. I'd say we're in sort of the campus region of Champaign and Urbana. That has its own kind of unique character and feel and identity associated with the University of Illinois campus.
Maybe the suburban region.
I feel like the correct answer is that we're in the Midwest.
The Midwest.
Well, technically we're in the Midwest.
We're located, generally speaking, in the Midwest, central Midwest of this country. or also it could be called the Central Plain states.
We are quite definitely in the Midwest region here. I think it's about rivers, like that, and then mountains, like that, and then the other boundary, that. Honest, if we're talking about all that geography and topography and stuff, it's like we had an inland sea that was there, and then we had glaciers that came here, and so then this became particularly useful for the thing that defined who we are, which is corn and soybeans, because it made the soil sweet, and it made it consistent, and it made it egalitarian, because everything was flat and equal and abundant.